Today I get to do one of my most favorite jobs there ever was, and that's to take the belly pan off of this 953 cat track loader. And if you can't tell, I am being sarcastic. It blew a hydraulic hose underneath in the belly pan, and of course it was on a job and somewhere it was hard to get to, but my dad was able to get the hose loose and put a new hose in the belly pan somehow and get it hooked up enough that we could bring it to the shop. But now we've got it in the shop. I've got to pull the belly pans off. He wants to get it all cleaned out and find all the clamps that the old hose is in, to get the old hose loose, get it out, and put the new hose in the clamps. That way it don't move back and forth, and the new hose won't move back and forth and rub a hole in itself from pressure spikes. But anyway, that's what I'm going to be working on today. So hope you'll join me in all the pain and agony. Well, it looks like he's already took the front one off, so that's going to make things a little bit easier. I'm gonna have to have a stronger gun. I never really liked the idea of having to lay underneath something that weighs 300 or 400 pounds while you take the bolts out of it. The old tired snap-on wouldn't do it. Let's see if the earthquake's up to the task. Well, it's turning it, but it's about to stop. Alright, next up. Now we got a 3/4 inch impact earthquake gun hooked to a 1/2 inch hose. Take that, buddy. I ain't seen nothing this gun wouldn't turn. And if this one won't, which I've never seen anything it wouldn't, within reason, we got a 1-inch gun for everything else. Woo, it's hot. Hot, 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 hot. Well, why are you leaking like this? Alright, where's the jack? So here is the pan. You can see it's got 2 or 3 inches of dirt on top of it. And that's pretty normal. That's why they're so heavy when you take them off. When you put them back on, they're not near as heavy because you clean all this off, obviously. And looks like I'm gonna have to do a little welding. One of these right here, this one right here is missing this right here. It's laying right there. So I'm gonna have to do a little welding on this pan once I get it cleaned up. Anyway, let's go on here and figure out where this hydraulic hose is and where it needs to go and how it's going to get there. Alright, so I'm looking up. Here's the engine oil pan. Here's the drain plug. I'm looking up in here, and here's the new hose that I see. I think that he's put on. And of course, it's the biggest hose under here, besides this big suction pipe. It looks like it goes up there beside the engine somewhere, and comes back through beside the transmission and connects right there. So the old hose, I see the old hose here. He wants me to get it out. And when I say he, I mean my dad. He wants me to get it out of these clamps and put the new hose in the clamps. So I am going to attempt to do that. We'll see how that goes. Oh, and here's that 3/4 inch earthquake gun I was talking about that had the power to get all them bolts loose. And here's our regular 3/8 hose. This gun, we run a 1/2 inch hose on it. And it's pretty stout. I have to give it credit. Alright, so after about an hour of fussing and cussing and hose clamps and oily mud, I finally got this hose out of there. And I'm afraid that's going to be the easy part, because I'm going to have to get the new hose back where this hose was at. And I'm not real excited about that, but I got all kinds of stuff I took off that hose, clamps, more clamps, and then there's some more clamps up underneath that I took off this hose to get it out. So anyway, wish me luck. I'm gonna try to get the new one, fish back through there where this one was, and try to get it all clamped back. And you can see I'm dressed for battle. I got on my safety glasses and my mining light so I can see what the heck I'm doing, hopefully. Alright, back at it. When the hose you're working on takes an 1 5/8 wrench, you know it's a big hose. Alright, right there where I'm shining the light is where this hose goes. And I've already disconnected it and pulled it back, rerouted it, and reconnected it right here. And that was kind of interesting, but I thought I was going to have to unconnect or disconnect it on the other end also, but I was finally able to bend it back on itself and get it pulled out from where Dad had it routed temporarily and get it run back where the old line was ran. Now, while I was doing that, I used this right here to put in the hose, and I used this right here to cap where I had unhooked the hose from the machine. And this one was the most important one, because the main thing about hydraulics is keeping everything clean. And I was afraid if I didn't find something to cap the end of that hose as I was pulling it through all the mud and the crap, and then pushing it back through where the old hose was, I was afraid I would fill it full of mud. So I found these caps back there in our hydraulic department, if you want to call it that. because we actually can make our own hydraulic hoses if they are in reason. We do up to 1 inch, and I believe this hose right here is a little bit larger than 1 inch. I seen that Dad didn't make it himself. I seen that he had bought a new Caterpillar hose, because it says Cat all over it, so apparently he didn't have the stuff to make what he needed. Alright, so like I was saying a minute ago, I found these fittings. Well, they're actually caps over here, and they're JIC. I'm going to put them back up. I've cleaned them up, kind of. So that one went there, and this is a JIC number 16 cap. It goes there. Those are just, these right here are just some adapters and caps and stuff that we have. And over here we have some, these things right here. This is a 3/8 one, I believe. But this right here is pretty handy to have. It just mends a hydraulic hose that, say you got a leak in the middle of the hose somewhere, and the rest of the hose is good. You can just cut out the bad section of hose, and this goes on each. You can put the old hose back up inside of this on each end and just crimp it back, and we call them menders. So that's one way to take care of a leak, that you have a good hose but something maybe rubbed a hole in it. And we have several sizes of those, and we have several adapters. And then over here in this tall bin, we keep all our hose ends. Like this right here is a 1/2 inch hose to 1/2 inch JIC. And, we just keep all different types of, here's a 90-degree bin with 1/2 inch hose and 1/2 inch pipe threads on it. And we have an assortment of a little bit of everything. And then here's the crimping tool, and you have to put special dies in it to crimp. And I will make a video on making a hose one day. It's pretty neat. And right here we have a portable hose crimping machine. So if you have a hose that's real long or it's difficult to get off, but you can take this thing to the machine and you can get the hose that you're working on out of the machine enough, you can get it to this. You could put one of those menders in your hose using this little portable machine right here. And so yeah, we have some hose right here we keep. So we don't make any hoses really for anybody else. We occasionally do, but to get people out of a bind. But we keep all this stuff just to keep our equipment going. And yeah, it gets us out of a bind sometimes. Here's something else I might make a video on someday. 3930 sweeper tractor, comes from VDOT. But we won't get into that right now. Alright, so it's pretty obvious this thing here has been broken off before. It just didn't get welded back on there very well. Looks like it fits just like that to me. But first thing I gotta do is grind it, get the rust off, get it V'd out a little bit so I can get a good weld on it. So we'll work on that first. Check out this vise right here. It's pretty healthy. Only problem with it is well, it'll de-nut you faster than anything that I've ever seen. It'll de-nut you faster than any banding tool. It didn't take me very long to learn to stay out of the way of this thing. I've learned to always wear safety glasses while I'm using those. I used to not always wear them, and after 2 different trips to the eye doctor because I got metal in my eye, I always try to wear them now. We'll grind me a little spot here so I have good ground. Got a Miller 250. I think that'll stay on there now. Hopefully it's in the right spot. That's exactly where it was at, but that don't really mean anything. So, all right, well, that's all I'm going to show for today. I'm going to have to get some rubber boots to go in the clamps that hose goes through before I put the clamps back on it. All the rubber boots that go between the clamps and the hoses are completely deteriorated, and it would be pointless to put the clamps back on around the hose without the rubber bushings, because the clamps are a lot bigger than the hose, and then the hose can still just move around. So, and that was the whole reason for routing it where it's supposed to go, was to keep it from moving under pressure and wiring a hole in it. So we are ordering the rubber bushings, and they'll take a couple days to get here, so I probably won't show the rest of putting all that back together. You get the idea. It's all a big pain in the butt, but anyway, I guess comment, rate, and subscribe. That's all I got left to say, and we appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next video.